You can see our window's up, all running successfully. If I go and hit Q, closes it again. What's happening, guys? My name's Nicholas Renaud, and in this tutorial, we're going to be going through how to access your webcam using Python and OpenCV. So this opens up a range of possibilities when it comes to performing computer vision using devices connected to your computer. Now, before we take a look at what we're going to be diving into, I just wanted to say a huge happy Diwali to anyone that is celebrating. So without further ado, let's take a deeper look as to what we'll be going through. So in this tutorial, we're going to be very much focused on how to access your webcam with OpenCV. Now, this opens up a range of capabilities, particularly say you wanted to do something along the lines of pose estimation or face tracking. This means that you can literally just plug your webcam into your computer and do some computer vision in real time. So it's pretty cool in that sense. Now, there can be a couple of sticking points when it comes to getting this set up. So I'm going to walk you through how to actually do that. So specifically, we're first up going to take a look at what dependencies we need. Then I'm going to show you how to connect to your webcam and how to find your video capture device number. So you might need to iterate through this to find the appropriate capture device. And if you don't get this right, you're not going to get a feed from your webcam. So we're going to set that up, and then I'm going to show you how to get a real-time feed so that you can actually do a little bit of computer vision, which is going to be super important once we get to some of our future tutorials. Ready to do it? Let's get to it. Alrighty, team. So we've got three key things that we need to do in order to access our webcam. Well, three key things that we're really going to be focused on. So first things first, we're going to focus on how to import our dependencies or import the dependencies that we need. You probably already know how to import dependencies by now. Then we are going to hook into our webcam, and I'm going to sort of show you how to walk through to sort of debug if you get any errors. So effectively, you really just need to try out a bunch of different device capture numbers. And then we're going to take a look at how we can render in real time. But before we do that, let's jump over to the whiteboard to see how this is all going to work. Alrighty, guys. So the core focus of this particular video is accessing our webcam with OpenCV. Now, whilst we're accessing it with our webcam, this could really be any USB capture device. So in this particular case, we're going to be doing our webcam, but it could just as easily be a capture card. So say, for example, you're streaming a feed from your PS5 or your Xbox, you could definitely do this. In the object detection tutorial or the mega course that we've got on the channel, we actually hooked up a microscope to it. Microscope. And this process or the framework that we used was exactly the same. So even though these devices were each different, the process is the same. Process is the same. You might get different frame sizes, you might get slightly different frame rates, but in terms of actually hooking up to these different capture devices, the process is going to be the same. Now, this opens up a whole range of capabilities, right? So with the webcam, you could obviously do stuff with your face, or you could do stuff with pose estimation. With a capture card, you might try to automate playing a particular game. With your microscope, you might do like disease detection or something along those lines. The process in itself is going to be the same set of steps. So what we're going to be focused on is first up hooking up to our webcam. So let's imagine that this is our webcam and our webcam is connected to our computer. So this is going to be our PC. Could just as easily be a Mac or could be another machine. And what we're going to do is we're going to hook in, or right now it's hooked in using a USB. So imagine that's a USB connection. What we're going to do is we're effectively going to be able to access the feed from over here to be able to access each one of those frames using OpenCV. Now, the way that we do that, if you cast your minds correctly, when we went and used OpenCV to access videos, we used the cv2.video capture class. And then to that, what we did is we passed through the path to the video. Now, what we're going to do in this particular case is rather than passing through the path to the video, we're actually going to pass through a video capture device number. So rather than having the path over here, we're actually going to pass through a specific ID. So let's go a completely different color. So in this particular case, rather than passing through the path, we might pass through 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. The core thing is that you just need to identify what this value is for you. So what is it for you? Now, this might change as you actually go through and connect to different video capture devices or as you plug in new stuff into your computer. So you might need to iterate through and find the appropriate video capture device. But that's fine. Once you've got it all hooked up, you should effectively be able to capture frames from that particular device. Now, once we've actually got that set up, the process is actually pretty straightforward, because what we're going to get back is a set of frames exactly the same as what we did when we were working with videos. And we can individually process each one of these frames or access each one of these frames using cap.read. But as per usual, we're going to be going through each step of this step by step so you can see how to actually go on ahead and build this up. So on that note, enough of this, let's get back to the code. And we're back. Okay, so as I was saying, we've got 3 key things that we need to do. So let's kick it off and import our dependencies. Okay, those are our 2 dependencies imported. So pretty straightforward there. So really, we just imported OpenCV by typing in import CV2. Again, pretty straightforward in what we've covered before. We've sort of covered that before already as well. And then we're importing matplotlib. And really, the reason that we're importing matplotlib is so that we can visualize inside of our Jupyter notebook. Now, again, if you didn't want to do this inside of Jupyter, you don't have to. You could do it inside of VS Code. You could do it inside of PyCharm. Just makes it a little bit easier to interactively go and code, particularly when you're doing data sciencey or computer vision type stuff. So the first line is import CV2. And then the second line is from matplotlib. So remember, it's going to import our pyplot package from matplotlib. So from matplotlib, import pyplot as PLT. So this is importing OpenCV. Import OpenCV for computer vision stuff. And this is importing matplotlib. So we can visualize an image. Cool. Now, the next thing that we need to do is actually go on ahead and connect to our webcam. Now, this is going to look really familiar to you if you went through the video capture tutorial, because it's pretty much the same code. There's one key difference. And you would have seen in the whiteboard that rather than passing through the path to the webcam, we're effectively going to pass through the device capture number. Now, I've actually got 2 different webcams connected to my computer at the moment. So one that I'm using to actually record this video, and then the second one that I typically use for computer vision. So what we might need to do is iterate through and find the one that is currently available, because the one that I'm currently recording with is going to be unavailable to OpenCV. So let's go on ahead and first up write a line to create a connection. So I'm going to write cap equals cv2.video capture, and then I'm going to pass through a device number. Now, I normally start at 0 and hit Shift Enter, and that establishes our capture. Then what we can try to do is actually get a feed from it. So I'm going to type in ret, frame equals cap.read. And remember, this is no different to what we did with our video. Remember, we created a cv2.video capture class, except what we did with our video is we actually passed through the full file path to that video. Here, we're actually just passing through a video capture device number, as you can see there, right? So rather than having a path, we've just got a number there. And then what we're doing is we're actually reading a frame. So get a frame from the capture device. So ideally, if this runs successfully, we should actually get a return value. RET. So it looks like that's true, and we should get a frame value. And it looks like we've got a frame. Now, I don't know if this is the right video capture device. So what we can actually do is we can use matplotlib to visualize that. So let's do that. Okay, so you can see there that I've actually got some data back, right? Or we've got a valid image. Now, this is actually coming through a virtual video capture device that I've got set up for my Sony camera. In this particular case, that's not the one that we actually want to connect to. We actually want to connect to my Logitech StreamCam. So I've actually got one of these, StreamCam. So this is currently what I'm using for virtually all of my computer vision stuff. So I've got 2 of these hooked up to my computer at the moment. Now, this feed is not the correct one. So we know that's not the correct one. So what we'll do is we'll release that feed. So we'll type in cap.release. And this releases that webcam device. So releases capture back into the wild. really it just releases it. So it's not going to be, or it's no longer going to be in use. So we're going to run cap.release to release our Sony cam, and we're going to try a different capture device. So let's just write some comments there. Connect to capture device. And let's try a different one. So if we tried one, print out our return value. All right, so we went and ran cap.read. Let's print our return value. All right, so this one's returning false. So that means that we're unable to get anything from that video capture device. This might be because it's currently in use. There might not actually be anything under that video capture device. Could be a whole bunch of reasons. But in this particular case, we have not successfully connected to that video capture device. So if we run the next line, you can see that we're getting this error here. So image data of D type object cannot be converted to float. And that's because we don't actually have anything returned back. So if we actually take a look at our frame, you can see that there's nothing in there, right? And that's because we still don't have the correct video capture device. So again, we'll run our release. Now what we'll do is we'll try video capture device 2. And we'll run cap.read. Looks like we still don't have anything from that one. We'll run release. We don't need to go through and do the other stuff. Let's try video capture device 3. And again, let's see what we got. All right, so that one's returned true. So it looks like we've got a frame back, and it looks like we've got some valid numbers there. If we go and show this one, okay, this is looking better. So you can see that we now successfully have got a frame from our video capture device. And the advantage of using these little stream cams is that you've got this little white dot on them. So when they have, let me zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. You can see that you've sort of got this little white dot, and this will only turn on once you connect to that webcam, right? So if you haven't successfully connected to it, you won't actually see that white dot turned on. So I know that mine is successfully connected because my second stream cam has just flicked on. Now, in this particular case, we can see that we've got our frame back. If I wanted to release that webcam, if I run this, the little white dot on that webcam, so this has just switched off. That little white dot has now switched off as soon as I ran cap.release. But that effectively shows how you can access your webcam. But this only gives us a frame at a time, right? So if you're happy just taking a photo from your webcam, you could actually loop this all together, right? So we could create a new function, take photo. And we could run cv2, what is it? Cap equals cv2.video capture. And what was our video capture device? So it was capture 3. And what we can do is take a photo. So we're going to write ret, frame equals cap.read. And then let's go on ahead and write that photo out. So we can use cv2.imWrite. And we're going to call it webcam photo.jpg. And we're going to save our frame. So if we run take photo now, this should we should also release it as well. So cap.release. Right, so if we go and run this function, so that should activate our webcam, take a photo, and then shut back down. So I just saw it activate, it's run successfully, or it doesn't look like we've got any errors. So if we go into the same folder that we're currently working in, which is OpenCV, you can see that it said we've got webcam photo there. If I open that up, that is a photo from our webcam, right? Pretty cool. So we've now successfully connected to that webcam. But this could just about be any video capture device. Again, microphone, if you plugged in like a video capture or like a video gaming device, or like a PS5 or an Xbox, or I don't know, whatever else people are using, Switch, GameCube, whatever, you'd actually be able to access that feed through your computer using OpenCV. So let's quickly take a look at what we wrote in that section. So remember, to connect to our webcam, we can use cv2.video capture, and that gives us our video capture data, or it connects to that video capture device. We can then get a frame using cap.read, similar to what we did for videos. You're going to get two values back. So whether or not it's successfully connected, and you'll also get the frame. We can then print that out using plot.imShow. And if we wanted to recolor this, we can use cv2.cvt color. And we're going to go through these color models a little bit more in an upcoming tutorial. cv2 color, BGR to RGB. So that will give us the correct color. We can type plot.show to get rid of this line over here. right? So that allows us to get a capture from our webcam, and then we can run cap.release to release our video capture device so that we can use it for other stuff. And we quickly wrote a function to be able to take a photo from our webcam. So remember, all we've done inside of here is pretty much we've taken everything that we learned from up here and we've packed it into a function to effectively write out our photo from our webcam. Now, what would happen if we wanted to actually go and render this in real time? So we've now successfully gone and completed section 1 and section 2. Let's go on about and do section 3 and render in real time. So pretty much we're going to replicate all the stuff that we've sort of done up here. We're just going to pack it into a loop. So let's actually go on ahead and write this loop. Okay, so I accidentally went and kicked that off, so we don't need it to kick off yet. So I went and wrote 3 different lines of code. So first up, what we're doing is we're establishing our video capture device. So connect to webcam. And then what we're doing is we're double checking. We're effectively going to loop while our capture is open. So while our webcam is currently activated, we're going to continuously loop and we're going to continuously run cap.read. So the next line is while. So this establishes a while loop. So establishes or loop through every frame until we close our webcam. Right, so we're going to loop through every single frame. So while cap.is open, so this ensures that our capture device, or allows us to check our capture device is still open. So if I run cap.is open, you can see that right now it's currently false, so it's not open. So this while loop will close. So while it's open, so while this is actually true, and if let's actually just set it to true, right? So if I write cap equals cv2.video capture 3, right? So that's going to connect to our video capture device. And then if I run cap is open, you can see it is now true, right? So while it is actually opened, this is going to read true. If I run cap.release and run cap is opened, you can see it's now shut off, right? And that allows us to check whether or not a video capture device is currently connected. So what we're doing is we're effectively checking that our video capture device is still open, and then we're going to run this line over here, so cap.read. So we're going to unpack the value, so we're unpacking the return value and the frame, and we're doing that, or we're returning those values from cap.read. What we can then do is we can show our image to our user. So show image, and we can do that using cv2.imshow. And again, this is similar to what we did in the video feed. And remember, if you wanted to go and write this video out, you could do exactly the same. We showed that in how to deal with videos inside of that tutorial. But for now, we're going to show that video. So webcam, we're going to call it webcam. So this first value is what we want our frame to be called. The second value is the frame. And then we're going to shut it down successfully. So if cv2.wait key 0, let's set it to 1. And 0xff equals odd q break, and then write 2 more lines of cap.release cv2.destroy all windows. Okay, so let's take a look at what we wrote there. So we use cv2.imshow, and then everything from here on out is pretty much you would have seen in the video tutorial. But let me break this down. So this line here is effectively checking whether or not we're hitting anything on our keyboard. So if cv2.wait key, this gives us a chance to hit a key on our keyboard, and this unpacks what's actually being hit. So what we're doing is we're checking whether or not a key is being pressed, and if the key that's being pressed is Q, then we're going to break out of our while loop. So this gives us a nice way to gracefully close out of our webcam. And assuming we break out of our while loop, so remember that is one section there, we're then going to run cap.release to release our webcam back into the wild, and we're going to run cv2.destroy all windows. So this closes the cv2.imshow frame. So this checks whether Q has been hit and stops the loop. These 2 lines down here, you know this, guys. So this releases the webcam or video capture device, and then this closes this frame. All right, let's run this. So assuming this runs successfully, we should get a pop-up towards the bottom of our screen, and we do. That is our webcam successfully connected. This is a little bit crooked. That's a bit better. But that effectively shows you what's actually happening. So let's take a look at what's happening here. So we've connected to our webcam, which is what we had from up here. We are then looping through while our capture is open. So right now our capture is open. So we're running this code. So we are collecting our frame. So we're using cap.read to get a frame at a point in time. We then get our return value, our frame, and then we can show it back. And remember how I said the name of the frame is going to be, let me zoom in on that so you can see it. So you can see it's called webcam up here, right? And that is because of what we've named it over here. Now, if we wanted to close this, right, remember we can hit Q on our keyboard and this code over here is going to trigger. So let me put that side by side so you can see that. So if we actually go and hit Q, this is going to trigger. It's then going to release the webcam because it's going to progress out of that loop and it's going to destroy that window. So if I go and hit Q, you can see it's stopped, it's released my webcam and it's closed that frame. If I go and run it again, you can see our window's up, all running successfully. If I go and hit Q, closes it again. And that, in a nutshell, is how to work with your video capture device. So we went through a bunch of stuff, but again, we're going to keep this one pretty tight. So we imported our dependencies. I sort of walked you through how to connect to your webcam and how to find the correct video capture device number. A lot of it is just iterating and testing. And then we took a look at how we can actually take a photo using our webcam. And then last but not least, how we can render in real time. But on that note, that about does wrap it up. Also, happy Diwali, guys. Peace. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, hit subscribe, and tick that bell. And if you have any questions, comments, or queries, do hit me up in the comments below. I'll be happy to help you out. Thanks again for tuning in. Peace. LEDs.